All right, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the mic drop. Um, this will be the last in the current iteration of the Middlebury Entitlement School saga. I kind of like that it got to 20 episodes. It's gonna now it's a season, and which is the way that I kind of designed it because there's a lot of information and it can be overload. It can be like drinking from a fire hose sometimes. Um, and so there's just, I mean, I could go on and on and on and on, and I'm not running out of stories. I'm getting more. Um, but the purpose of the mic drop was for a place that I could come and share my truth. Um, Middlebury's taint on my truth and my perspective and who I've been up to this point, um, I'm done with them. I've given them every single opportunity to speak with me like an adult. And they have acted like a child every single time. So, I'm going to be very directive in this one, which is going to be a little bit less, a little bit break from the norm of, come up with your own conclusions and think about all this stuff and all that, because I'm going to present you with what I believe is going on with them right now, and then I'm going to leave it because I'm going to, I have a plan, obviously. So, after 20 episodes of advocating against the corruption in Middlebury Community Schools, I created this channel 28 days ago, and within a single month, I've accrued over 200 subscribers and, tens of thousands of hours of view time. So, what I have come to say wants to be heard by a lot of people that feel like they're not heard. So let me tell you right now what Middlebury Community Schools is doing. Okay, it's Friday, so none of them are working. And what they're doing right now is in their executive sessions, they talk behind the board and all this stuff. Here's their plan on how to deal with me. And here's how I know, because I have, like I said, I have a man inside. The way that they're going to go about this is they're going to continue as often as necessary, that when anyone is brave enough to show up to the board meeting and mention my name or John Homan's name or something else, they're going to say, we're not going to comment on that because it would be inappropriate. They're going to continue to spout that sentence until you, the people of Middlebury community, stop asking. They're waiting for you to not care anymore. And that's only part one of what they're doing. They feel like if they can continue to ignore this situation, that it'll lose track, it'll lose steam, and then Middlebury Entitlement Schools will just go right on with how they've been doing things up to this point, now that their disgruntled former employee is no longer around to naysay as loudly as he has been. They're counting on you guys to stay quiet. One of the reasons I went about, actually, the main reason why I went about my advocacy the way that I did, legally, ethically, bluntly, and loudly, if you want to fight against a corrupt organization that is harming you and your children or your family, they're expecting you to play dirty in their swamp. They're ready for it. They've got lawyers, they've got plans, they've got statutes ready to quote, they've got all different kinds of things ready to go when you step in their arena to fight the way that they only will allow themselves to fight. Which is really sad. Because you have, 5 or 6 grown people up there that are afraid to have a conversation with a single individual that has very, very valid concerns representing hundreds of people in your community. I'll never get how you can get away with that and call it appropriate for your job. But again, with the mic drop, I'm leading people to come up with their own conclusions on your ineptitude. However, you keep acting inept and like a child, so therefore they don't have to come to their own conclusions. Everybody is looking at what you're doing, and your actions are pretty apparent. You're scared. You're scared to address this because you don't know what to say. You're afraid you're going to look bad, so you're going to wait it out, like you always do. Now, that's only part one, people. That's only part one. Now, the corruption has been going on so long That it's not just part one that they have. There's layers underneath, okay? Part one is the waiting game and the ignoring game. Part two is what we call the grab and switch, or the bait and switch, or whatever switch you want to call it. Something's going to happen at Middlebury Community Schools, something either really great, or something brand new, or something that is, we'll just call it big, or bigger than normal, okay? And it's going to distract from this advocacy. They're going to want your attention somewhere else. And it's going to be a new program. It's going to be, you know, something great they're doing with kids. It's going to be something they're going to like. And this is how Middlebury Community Schools does. They want to show off the 85% that they do really, 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 really well. And if they can make that 85% just look so good and so shiny and polished and diamond-like, then maybe people will forget there's another 15% of your population of children that you don't give a crap about. So they're going to try to keep your focus on something completely else. Now, it could potentially be them patting themselves on the back, which is great. Or it could be what I like to call the Drew Wood manipulative conversation tactic. That's exactly what I've called it. Okay? I've been on the receiving end of this for a really long time because I worked with him for 10 years. And when I was watching the video of the last school board meeting and I was listening to the second lady talk about the great conversation she had with Mr. Wood, I'm going to tell you right now, I am very thankful to hear that, and I'm also extremely scared to hear that because I used to believe in him the same way. He has a way of sitting down with you and conversing with you that makes you feel like you can go and change the world, that he really cares about you. He'll reference his own son Isaiah, and you know he'll try to really, really, really make you feel like you are heard. And then he won't do anything about it. The tactic that he uses is he will assuage your concerns in the moment with a plan in the future of what he's going to do, and that's all he does. There's no follow-through. And if there is, and you try to call him out on it, there's a wealth of excuses. There's actual reasons, like the man's not in the best of health, obviously, and that's not a fake, you know. But just because you're not in the best physical health doesn't give you the right to not do your job. In fact, when you guys had poisoned me so much that I couldn't do my job and I decided to take, you know, leave, you brought someone in to do my job for me, which I'm just going to leave that as it is. So he will talk with you and make you feel great about everything that's going to happen, and then nothing will happen. Listen to me clearly when I say this. I hope I'm wrong. I really do. If Mr. Wood has finally decided to actually do something that he said he was going to do without an ulterior motive and without trying to get some greater purpose, great. You know, I think he's got a lot of good qualities in a man. I just think he's corrupt now. He's been bought, and I don't know why. Because he used to care about kids the way that I did. Unconditionally, without a price tag attached to him. And I don't know what happened to him along the way that broke him so far down from that, but he's not the man that I trusted. So I am hopeful that what he said about the conversation with you in the prison club and all that stuff goes well. If you would heed any part of my advice, put follow through on what he says as your number one priority and check in constantly to make sure he's doing what he's saying he's going to do, and then see if it actually happens. Chances are something else big or something else distracting will come along that's going to take, oh, well, this happened and we didn't get a chance to get to that yet, so but it's still on my list and I'm definitely going to get there. I mean, these are all political tactics that the people that are corrupt will use because they don't have an answer or they don't want to change, so they're going to buy enough time to come up with something that'll distract you so they don't have to. It's literally called the bait and switch. And what gives me pause and what gives me a little bit of fear is that when I move on from direct advocacy at Middlebury, that they're just going to try and make it all disappear, kind of like they've been trying to do with the John Homa thing. Now, other than me and my videos here and some of the people that were brave enough to speak at the school board meeting, I don't know that the community has mentioned anything about John Homa in the last 3-4 months. Is there Like, what's going on with that? Where's the investigation? Where's the, what's going on? Like, and Middlebury will hide and be like, oh, well, we don't know anything at that point, or it's been turned over to the legal people and we have to let it with them, and yada, yada, yada. It's funny that you can invoke the law whenever it's convenient for you, and you can abuse it when also it's very convenient for you. You are fair weather law followers. And I say that not because you break laws, but because the laws that you put into place, you don't even follow. Like school board meeting etiquette. You can't let somebody talk without interrupting them. You couldn't even let your own other board member talk without interrupting him, and he raised a very, very valid concern. And you wonder why you're broken. And you wonder why I all have the information that I have. And you wonder why so many people are rallying behind just my cause and what happened with John Homan and now hundreds of others. I don't wonder. I gave Middlebury almost a decade of my heart and my life. And last I checked, doing the math, we only get about 8 to 9 of those if we're lucky. 7 maybe, if we're not lucky. Decades, that is. And I gave one of them for my professional life to this school. And to leave it as it is now, as corrupt as it is, still hurting children, still leading their staff members to want to kill themselves, and trying to pass it off as anything other than, well, it's inappropriate for them to comment about. What is appropriate for you to comment about? You don't like controversy. You don't like dissenting opinions, clearly, because your own school board member tried to give you a dissenting opinion, and you shut him down and interrupted him. You guys are a joke. You sit up there with this authority that you think you have, and you don't. You're so small. And if the people of the community, like, let me tell you why I did it the way that I did it. Okay, the advocacy part, the way that I did it, the way that I did, the legal, the ethical, and not, is because I wanted to give you guys an example over months of what would happen if you stood on your own 2 feet, shared your truth. I wanted to see what would happen to me first before it would happen to you, because my story is one. Your stories are hundreds. Now you know. And now you know how powerless Middlebury Community School Board actually is. They threw a legal trespass on me so that I couldn't get near them to accomplish 2 goals: cheering for children during graduation and advocating for the children and the marginalized and the gaslighted of the staff members of Middlebury Community Schools. Both times you have used the law to keep me away from advocating for people, and both ways I have found a way to follow the law and still accomplish my goal. That's what powerlessness looks like. It's how you make everyone in your community feel whenever they come up and try to share a valid concern. I wonder how it feels to you guys. I'm a counselor. If you want to talk about it. I mean, I don't start my other job for another, a couple of months. So, hey, I can do some pro bono work. It makes me sad. But I wanted to give you guys, this is what would happen if you decided to stand on your own 2 feet. Because now you can look and see what happened to me. And now you can make your own informed choices after listening to my advocacy, critically thinking about it, analyzing it and the truth of it in your own life, and make your own choice on if you want to be an advocate for this. I'm not commanding anybody. I'm not trying to raise an army. I'm not trying to start a riot. I'm not trying to do anything other than inform the people of the community that keep having their wool pulled over their eyes because their school board doesn't want them to see how bad it is on the inside. Parents of Middlebury Community Schools children, I would like to ask you a favor, if I may. You don't have to. I'm going to ask you the same favor that I asked the school board directly in April when I showed up after John Homan's death. And all I'm going to ask you to do is to take this seriously. And the way that you can do this, different than anybody else, and is the most important piece of this. If your child comes to you and says that they are being bullied or they are being harassed by a teacher or a member of the Middlebury Community Schools, take it seriously. I don't feel comfortable anymore writing it off as just a kid complaining about a teacher or not liking how things going. That's still going to happen. They're still teenagers. But you as parents know your children better than anybody else. And if they're going to come to you with a genuine concern about how they felt marginalized, bullied, made to feel stupid in class, called out, if they come home and they share these stories with you, please take them seriously, because they're actually happening. And if you don't believe me, look at any of the comments that have gone on my YouTube channel and read through the breadth of the stories of people that are sharing right now because they finally feel like they can stand on their own 2 feet. Your children need you, because the people at the schools that you send them to are dealing with corruption. And the good people that work at Middlebury Community Schools are being handicapped in their ability to serve your children because of the needs of the district. And never in my life have I been more disappointed in any establishment of my life than a school system that prides the district and how it looks over the individual child and how they feel. There's Middlebury Entitlement Schools. They're not inspiring students to shape the world. They're inspiring students to obey their command. How can you shape a world when you can't even go out and think for yourself? Doesn't seem like the world's going to be shaped much differently than it already is. Which is what people in power like to do to keep. They like to keep things the way they are. So that was for parents. Everyone else in Middlebury community that wants to continue this advocacy in the way that I have, I'm going to tell you, if you are going to represent my name at all, if you're going to stand with Malahan in any way, shape, or form, you have to do it legally. You have to do it ethically. And for some of you guys, that one's a little bit of a strong one. Don't go out and cause a fight just to cause a fight. Don't go out and cause an argument just to cause an argument. If you're going to go stand on your own truth, be prepared to defend it, but do not be prepared to attack someone else with it. That's what it means to stand with Malahan. And if you are curious about where those lines are, bro, my stuff's open. Come talk to me. And that's one of the things I wanted to put here towards the end, is kind of how the future of the mic drop is going to go forward. This is going to be the last of the pre-recorded videos I'm going to do, so I can kind of put this away. I said that once I got beyond this point, I'm going to really try to do live advocacy. And between Twitch and between YouTube live stream, I feel like I can do that. So what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to set up a schedule where I will be going live at certain parts of every single week, so that people can come in and share their concerns and share their truth, completely protected within the mic drop. Because I'm in control of the mic drop. So if people want to come in and share their truth, and other people want to come in and start attacking their truth, you're gone. You're gone so fast you can't even breathe. Attack is not an option. You can defend your truth. You can stand on it. And people will listen and hear it. And they're able to do whatever they want with it. But they do not have the right to attack you for it. And I'll step in the way if they do. I'll do everything in my power. Do I think I'm going to, I have no, but I'll be completely honest with you too. I have no idea what I'm doing. I've never live streamed anything before in my life. This has been kind of a test run to, kind of get the videos and see how it would work. I'm hoping that the live mic drops go exceedingly well, because the whole purpose was to, hey, I've come and I've shared my truth, and now we're live. Why don't you come in and talk about your truth? It's going to try to change the comments that are in the, the YouTube videos, and not eliminate them, but kind of give them an opportunity to be a part of the live program. That's what I'm going to try to do. So when I have completed my plan of that advocacy and what it looks like, And when I've created the schedule of what it's going to look like, I'm going to create another video on here to say, kind of like, now that we've done with this is the aftermath. This is how it's going to go going forward. Okay? Those are my plans. And this is, I'm going to finish up by saying this I want to say something to Middlebury Community Schools, and I want to say something to the kids. And that's how I would like to end this saga. Middlebury Community Schools, you need to do better. I'm not saying everything you do sucks. But if one of your staff members shoots themselves to death in a parking lot during school hours and you don't want to change, you deserve to be fired. Every single one of you. When you decide to try to hide behind John Oman's act as, we're so heartbroken that he did this for the community, you're ignoring his suicide note where he blamed the specific members that led him to kill himself. Need I remind you the names? Ken Tadeo, Rachel Valance, and the like. And they don't like having their names called out. Nobody does. They wanted everything swept right behind the rug. So I'll call it out. And I'll step right in front of you and call it out, and you won't be able to do anything to me or watch the videos, because that doesn't happen. You need to do better. Now. Not later. Because God forbid something like this happens again, and you have another John Homan, I'll quit my new job and I will come and stand at the legalist point that I can, closest to the school, with my megaphone, and I will advocate every single hour that a child goes to a different school. And you can't stop me from doing that. And people love to hear controversy. So it's not like they're just going to avoid me. All the people that drove by during the school board meetings were like, hey, how you doing? What are you doing there? Oh, I'll happily share. Loudly, frequently, and often. I'm thinking of taking the rest of my summer, since I don't have to work, and actually maybe going to Middlebury and having conversations with, community members and families and any of the children that would like, live and in person, to advocate them to go to different schools until your corruption is cleansed. And I'll come right back and advocate for everybody to go to Middlebury Community Schools when the corruption has been eliminated and a healing good place has been put in. I'll do it. Count on it. And if I don't, call me out on it. If all this finally changes and Middlebury Community Schools finally gets to where they're supposed to be, caring for everyone equally, I'll come right back in and say, hey, they did it. Let me show you all the things that they did, because it's my truth. And I would love to share that truth on how a corrupt establishment got clean in order to help kids better. There's nothing I wouldn't want to share more. So that's to you, Middlebury Community Schools. Kiddos. I've been fighting back the tears a little bit on this one, just because you guys are so awesome, man. I knew you guys were awesome when I was working with you, because I could feel your energy, but the outpouring of love and support and just virtual hugs and high fives and everything's been great. Thank you so much for all that you have done to help support my truth. And you guys don't know how powerful you are. The entire master schedule of classes gets built at the high school based on what it is that you want. And if you decided at one point when you're scheduling classes next year that you no longer want international baccalaureate classes for some reason, and every kid in the building scheduled something else other than IB classes, there would be no IB classes in that high school. That's how powerful you are when you come together. When you stay divisive, everyone else remains in control. They're going to have you fighting against each other instead of fighting them. That's how corruption works. Kids, I don't ever like having to admonish children about anything, because it implicitly puts fear in them that may not need be placed. But this is too big. Someone killed themselves in a parking lot with a gun during school hours. This is beyond the norm. So kiddos, If you feel bullied, if you feel made to feel stupid in class, you're afraid to ask questions because of intimidation by your teacher, I'm going to ask, try to talk to your teacher first. Just once, okay? And let that conversation inform your actions forward. I know it's scary, I do. But here's the worst thing that can happen. You go up to a teacher, you share a bunch of stuff, they get mad at you because you're talking against them and blah, 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 and then they threaten to hinder your grade because of it. Guess what? If that happens, we have a case to sue them and shut them down. So they're more afraid of you than you are of them. And if you realized that, you would have a lot more. I feel like you guys you would feel significantly safer where you're at. That would be the reason of me saying that. I want you guys to feel more empowered than you do to advocate for yourselves, regardless of consequence. Because look at the consequences they've thrown at me, okay? This is all you have to be afraid of. They can throw something legal at you and you can just step around it. They can throw a bunch of words at you and try to make you feel a certain way, and then guess what? Turn around and there's 200 other people ready to support you in the way that you are instead of how they're trying to make you feel. Feel empowered to advocate for your own truth every second of every day. And if you don't, I will give you my information. You can share with me your story and I will do a mic drop on it live. And then we'll save that video and you can have it and go send it to them. You can push play during the school board meeting if you want. I really love you guys. A lot. So much so, I've been driving 12 hours and, 48 hours just to stand for 30 minutes in 90-degree temperatures with a megaphone, sharing the stories of children who have been hurt, staff members who have been hurt. And I'm in St. Louis. Imagine if people that would, the ones that choose to stand with Malahan, imagine if they're standing right in the same place that I did, advocating at the school board every single time you have a meeting. What if it's more than just me? I mean, there was a half a dozen or so there too, plus dozens of more driving by and waving hi, and that's just me. Middlebury Entitlement Schools needs to fail. And Middlebury Community Schools needs to rise healthily in its place. That's a mic drop. And over the past 28 days, you guys have seen exactly what a fight the right way looks like for your truth. I will continue to advocate for everyone in that community if they need me to or want me to. And it will be done so anytime that I'm doing a mic drop. So this isn't going to stop. And in the last, let's say 30 seconds here, I'm going to put a warning out to Middlebury Community Schools should they choose to remain corrupt and do not try to grow, admit their wrongs, and try to do better. I will dedicate the rest of my life to meeting with as many individual members of your community as I possibly can and share enough stories and gather enough information that I'll take you down. And it's not going to be a legal battle because you've got the law protecting your corruption. It's going to be a moral battle. And you guys are too afraid to show up. Cowards. The day you want to show up and actually have an adult conversation, I'll be there. You name the time and place. Clearly, I have no problem driving to you, and not once have you guys offered to include me or drive to me or incorporate me in anything. So you guys have taken your little ball and run scared home because you don't want to play with others. Fine. Be a child. The rest of the children have to have adults that care for them and know how to do it. So get out of the way if you're not going to. And if you won't, it's not a threat, unlike Joel likes to think. It's a promise. I'll come move you. This has been the mic drop. And that is the conclusion for now, of the Middlebury Entitlement School Saga. If you have any questions, I'll be live soon. Should you wish to ask them, please be brave enough to stick around and discuss it instead of drop you saying something and then disappear. Because that's childish and immature. And last I checked, that's what you think I am. And I think not. I love you guys. Thank you very much for listening. You're so much more powerful than you'll ever give yourself credit for. And I hope that you start today doing so. I love you. We out.